Hi everyone, this is Muhammad Al Isa from Saudi Arabia. As a token of appreciation, I would like to present a summary of the 5-day seminar Tony Robbins has recently presented free of charge to all of us. And I will put it in the community hoping that you will find it useful. In his 5-day seminar, Tony Robbins presented the Ultimate Breakthrough Challenge 2022. Have you ever had a goal in your life that you always wanted to achieve, such as changing your body or health, changing or improving a relationship in your life, changing or improving your career or business or wealth status, or changing or improving a habit of yours? Have you been in the situation where every year you would put this change in your New Year resolutions and you will get excited to achieve it, but you have been constantly failing to do so? Do you want to create a difference this year and finally achieve a breakthrough and sustain and attain your goal? This is basically the intent of this seminar, is to give you ways of creating breakthroughs in your life. So breakthrough is basically finally achieving what you have always wanted, but what you have been failing to attain or sustain. According to Tony, what prevents us from achieving our goals are challenges coming from two worlds. The external world, which we can influence but we cannot completely control, and our internal world, which we can influence and control, such as our beliefs, our emotions, and our actions. Then Tony presented the concept of what's your story. And what he means by that is basically our story is what we would say to explain why we have been failing to achieve what we wanted. It's basically our failure story. It is our narrative of our beliefs about the combination of the external world's factors and the internal world's factors that had caused our failure so far. It is how we justify and convince ourselves why we failed. According to Tony, it's very important, if you would have a story, is to have the true and the right story. If we keep blaming our failures to unreal stories or unreal causes, this simply means that we will not be able to correct them. If we keep blaming the external worlds for our internal problems, this means that we will not correct our internal problems. And the other way around, if we keep blaming ourselves for problems that are related to the external world, then we will not be able to finally correct them and achieve. So it's very important to change our story. Change your story, change your life. Then Tony presented the priority of where to start to achieve your breakthroughs. What do you start with if you want to attain a change in your life? Do you start by the strategy or the story or your state? Tony Robbins strongly advises that we should never start by jumping to implementing the strategy. He emphasizes that we need to focus on our story and try to change our story and reach to the correct story, basically is to blame the right thing that needs to be corrected. We need to reach to a story that reflects the reality, which will enable us to correct it, and not to keep blaming falsified causes, because if we do so, that we will never get out of this vicious cycle. Change your story, change your life. But for you to find the true and the right story, you must start with the right state. We must always start by changing our state. We should condition our mental and emotional and physiological state to be at its best or peak state. So the first thing that we need to address is our state, our mental condition, our emotional condition, our belief system. Being in the right state will enable us to reach to the right and the true story as to why we are failing to achieve what we wanted to achieve. It's very important to reach to the true story. And having the right true story that explains why we are failing to achieve will enable us to put the right strategy. And being in the right state will give us enough energy and momentum to implement the strategy. And that's why Tony Robbins strongly advises us not to start with the strategy, because if we start with the strategy with the wrong state of mind and with the wrong story, we will not have enough momentum to implement the strategy. One of the main things Tony Robbins addressed in this seminar is the real need to shift our identity or expand our identity. Self-identity is the strongest drive. How we or how one defines himself or herself controls what he or she can or cannot do. Because we always want to be consistent with our identity, we only do what our identity allows us to. So if we want to do something that we could not do because it doesn't match with our current identity, we must be able to expand our identity so that it accommodates this new thing and allow it to happen. Our beliefs about ourselves is what really creates our identity. Beliefs can create and can destroy. It's very important to correct our wrong beliefs about our own selves and about the world and the other people around us. We must be able to expand our identity and be able to redefine what we are and what we are not, what we can do and what we cannot do. We must be able to create a shift in our identity, to expand it. For example, to move from the identity where I say I cannot do this to a new identity which say I can do this. From the identity of not saying I'm not this type of person to the new identity where I say I'm this type of person who can do this and that. From the identity that says this doesn't sound like me to a new identity where it says this sounds like me. If we can manage to expand identity such that the new things will be part of it, then we will have enough drive to achieve these new things. Because again, our self-identity is our strongest drive. And sometimes You need to do something that is very courageous to find your new identity. If you are hesitant, if you have been hesitant to do something because you always think that you cannot do it, you need to do something crazy and push yourself to do it, and it's only then that you will discover that, oh, I am the person who can do this, such as the firework, for example. Then Tony Robbins tries to summarize those concepts under the 5 to thrive. So he basically emphasizes that if we want to really create a breakthrough and attain and sustain a change in our life, we should start by correcting our status, to put our status on the peak state with the fullest energy. And the fastest way of changing a state is physiology, is basically how you can are those things that you can do with your body and your voice. Your body movement, your voice intensity, your posture, stance, gesture, your workout, you're having adequate sleep, you're having the right food and hydration. And since those are the fastest way of doing it, he advises that you should always start by changing your facial expressions, your voice. You cry you very loud, you shout very loud, you chant. And that's why in his seminars he always repeats this with the audience. Then the second important thing to correct the state is we need to watch our language and the meaning we add to the things that happen inside us and around us. It's very important to watch how we understand life and how we explain it in language. Because if we repeat that language, we will be programming our subconscious minds. And we will believe more and more on what we repeat saying. Then he emphasizes that what we focus on is what create our emotions and determine our lives eventually. What do we focus on? What are the patterns and the habits of our focus? What we focus on determines our feelings, and our feelings lead to our actions, and our actions make our lives. And he says, where focus goes, energy flows. And the 5 element here, in the 5 to thrive, is you must have a compelling future. You have to have a very bright and appealing vision of the future that should encourage you to change your state in order to change your story, and finally put the right strategy and implement it to really achieve a real breakthrough and finally achieve the goals you have always wanted to achieve, but you have been failing to do so far. Those are basically the 5 to thrive. Start with your state, and the fastest thing to change your state is by changing the physiology, your body basically, and you have to change the language you describe things and the meaning you attach to things, because how you describe things affect your emotions and then your beliefs and your actions. And correct your focus. Where do you focus? Is very important, because this again creates your emotions and actions. And you have to have a compelling future and a vision, a bright vision, a bright appealing vision, so that it will drive you to go through the status change and then the story correction and the strategy implementation. That's basically the cream of this seminar as I understood it. I hope, guys, that you will find it useful, and thank you.